What's up, YouTube? What's up, Extreme Gains family? I'm Chuck. This is Extreme Gains. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Thursday, September 1st, 2022, and this is my Amc Gme and SPY Algo exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow, TGIFF and beyond. As always, I hope you all had a great day in the market today, and I hope you took advantage of the volatility and were able to make some extreme gains for yourselves. I'm going to go over all of my regulars, my snake algo method for all three tickers, and some macro comparatives. So with all of that said, let's dig in. Real quick, my extreme gains for today from my scalp setups on the 7 tickers that I set up every single day, provided 10 entries from trigger today, the highest ROI, and there were 3 of them at 100%. Then I had an 85%, a 50%, and 5 separate 30% today to round out that list. Super happy and grateful for those. As always, I had an absolute monster day today, and the Extreme Gains Premium Discord family had another monster day themselves today. Congratulations to all of you. It is well deserved as always, and I hope all of you out here in YouTube land, in our extended family, were able to do something similar and make some extreme gains for yourselves. On your screen currently is AMC on the left, SPY on the right. This is from my snake algo method. These are the micro intraday snakes on both 5-minute charts for today, and you can see the projection and fulfillment of both of them. Those snakes had price action absolutely pegged from the open today and provided unbelievable projection and fulfillment today from that perspective. Super proud of those as well. Moving on to the intra-week snakes and the macro comparatives. Currently on your screen is AMC and my current intra-week snake. AMC finished the day today down 5.92%. At max was down almost 10%. Currently up 0.82% in after hours, trading at $8.65. The current intra-week snake is the red one. It's the day prior to the previous divergence. It's been fulfilling its projections almost candle for 6 days. It diverted to the downside away from the upside projection 2 days ago, which I projected happening with the mirrored position of its actual self on here. And we continued once again today to fulfill that projection from the mirrored position of the intra-week snake as you see it on your screen. Now, we talked about the breach level, the 895 breach level, and the macro ascending level of support acting as a confluence of resistance last night for a rejection and a release back downside for continued fulfillment to the downside now and in this mirrored position. I have a side-by-side from yesterday of the intra-week snake projection from the update and prep video. Here was the position of price action within that with the projection from it in that position, and here is today's 100% dead on fulfillment of it. Moving on to the macro comparative for AMC. As you know, I have been using the previous double bottom, the same one that I used for the last 5 months of projection, this one right here, in its entirety, in the straight up and mirrored position for the last 5 months worth of projection and fulfillment. The blue is it in its flipped position. The red is the mirrored position of that. The reason for the mirrored position was after receiving full-on fulfillment of its projection from the peak the whole way down to the macro ascending level of support, and then the initial bounce up off of the macro ascending level of support. Price action started consolidating flat after the pullback instead of bouncing back up and continuing to fulfill this in its straight up position, therefore signaling a potential for a mirrored fulfillment And that is exactly what has happened since. Here's the mirrored clip of it and the placement of it with, once again, 100% fulfillment of it today with that continuation to the downside. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in the mirrored position. And then obviously to fulfill with the straight up position, it would take that straight up move back to the upside, a convergence back with it, and a fulfillment of this descending double bottom as we talked about in previous videos. I do have a side-by-side of it as well. Here is the screenshot from last night's update and prep video, the location of price action within it, the projection from it moving into today, and now the 100% fulfillment of that projection here as you see it today. Another dead-on fulfillment of a projection on AMC. Moving on to GME. GME finished the day today down 3.53%, currently up 1.34% in after hours, trading at an even Steven $28. The current intra-week snake, which I misspoke on, I said that it had been fulfilling for 4 weeks. It's been 6 weeks. Continued to fulfill today in the mirrored position as we have been tracking it and seeing it fulfill for 2 weeks straight now. You can see the fulfillment of it and what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue fulfilling it in the mirrored position. Here's the screenshot from last night's update and prep video with the price action and the location of it within the video and the projection for today. And right here is the 100% fulfillment once again of that projection. Another one absolutely dead on. Then the macro comparative from the previous double bottom that I have been using for months now for projection and fulfillment, both in the straight up and mirrored position. This is the mirrored position of it and the location of placement. And once again today, the projection from it last night fulfilled to the downside with the rejection off of the 2850 level. And then the V-shaped recovery back upside as you see it essentially candle for candle today. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Here is last night's screenshot from last night's video, the location of price during the video, the projection from it today, and here side by side, the 100% dead on fulfillment of that projection once again. Then last but not least is SPY. SPY finished the day today up, I almost said down, up 0.31%. Currently up an additional 0.06% in after hours, trading at 396.60. The current intra-week snakes that I have been tracking have been the day of divergence, the green one, and the day prior to divergence, the red one. And the day of divergence and the position of it in its straight up position from the previous divergence was right here. And I did extend this a little bit for obvious reasons. As of last night, I had the bottom up a little higher and we continued short term downside to the macro ascending level of support. And we had talked about that potentially getting that bounce off of it, and it did a V-shaped recovery. SPY absolutely ripped back up off of that. So if we get a continued fulfillment and a follow through of that upside move, we have then converged, in my opinion, back with that intra-week snake in its straight up position, therefore fulfilling it 100%, and then a continuation of fulfillment moving forward and the projection from it. You can see if price action were to continue to fulfill it in the straight up position. However, if it were to, because this is a pivot point, if it were to mirror that back to the downside, here is the position of it in the mirrored position, which we have not tracked and or fulfilled in yet according to this intra-week snake. you can see the continued fulfillment of it today to the downside and what the continued projection would be from it if price action were to continue to fulfill it in the mirrored position. I just want you to be aware of that, and I want to make sure I am aware of that and the levels of that moving forward, just in case. Then the day prior to the previous divergence, it mirrored initially after the first straight up fulfillment up top, and since then it has continued to fulfill itself in the mirrored position. And here is the position of it and the placement of it and the continued fulfillment of it today to the downside for that bounce off of the ascending level of support, the V-shaped recovery back upside. Obviously, this is projecting essentially the same thing as the day of divergence in its straight up position, with a continuation to upside projection as it stands. However, once again, pivot point, if it were to do that, I do want to review this. If it were to start fulfilling this in the mirrored position, this would be the projection from it back in its straight up position, the unmirrored position. You can see what the projection is from it if price action were to continue to fulfill it in that straight up position again. Then last but not least, the macro comparative from the 08-09 correction and crash that I have been tracking forever here on the channel. You can see that in this position, the previous fulfillment of it leading up to where we are currently at right now. And we talked about two potential positions of this currently. One is identifying this as the peak and shoulder, shoulder, the peak, shoulder, shoulder, and placing it in that manner. Placed in that manner, we continued to fulfill. We used it in that placement for all of the upside projection, and then the peak at 428, the rejection back downside perfectly. When everybody was calling for 450, we were projecting a rejection off 428 or 430 back downside. We've used it in this position. The only thing that happened here, I guess this week, is this bounce here that it put in did not fulfill back to the upside like it was projecting to the height of the price action that the macro comparative projected, but we did get a bounce there and then a continued fulfillment downside. So if I were to compress this thing in, I'm just going to shift it over for the time being. If I were to compress this in, it's very, very obvious that it looks like we did fulfill that, and we are continuing to fulfill it in that position. Here is the bounce, the V-shaped recovery. So again, with a compressed placement, you can see what the projection is, how it fulfilled, and what it would look like moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in that position. The secondary position was something very similar as we moved this over to show that the peak was then put in a mirrored position. And since then, we've gotten continued fulfillment out of it going into today. The projection was a bounce back upside. We did run a little bit back downside first, but nonetheless, this is the exact same projection of the straight up peak on peak placement, just compressed over. So that's where I was getting that without compressing it. So now you know that that's what it's about. So there's no need to show both of them. Still looking at it in the peak on peak, just in a compressed manner a little bit, so we can see that that bounce did fulfill earlier in the week, just not to the height in which the macro comparative was projecting, and that's fine from a macro comparative perspective. It's been a long time since I've used this phrase on the channel, but I used to tell everybody all the time, the macro comparative I've always used as a projected suggested path, not a granular candle for candle. If it does give me candle for candle fulfillment, I'm cool with it. If not, it has been essentially a suggested and a projected macro path for macro price action as you see it previously as well. So with that in mind, I do believe that we are still continuing to fulfill the macro comparative in its peak on peak position. And like I said earlier, you can see if that were the case, what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow specifically and beyond. My friends, my family, that is everything I have for this video. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you all very much. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. Leave me a comment. Let me know how y'all did today. Would love to know if y'all did as good as myself and the premium Discord family, because we absolutely murdered the market today. It was unbelievable. I hope y'all were able to do the same thing today. Quick reminder, Monday is Labor Day. There is no market open on Monday. So the weekly update and prep video, I'm either going to put out Sunday like always or potentially Monday. So keep an eye out for that. Good luck in the markets tomorrow. Make some extreme gains for yourselves and enjoy your holiday weekend, extended weekend. And I will talk to you all and see you all on the next one. Take care. Talk to you then. Later.